If you're wondering whether or not you made a mistake getting the DJI Osmo Action 4 for vlogging now that the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is here, or if you're kind of on the fence as to which one you should get, hopefully this comparison video will clear things up for you a little bit. Because there are 7 clear defining reasons why you should choose one over the other, but I'll get onto those a little bit later on. Because the rest, like image quality and ease of use to name a couple, comes down to which one performs better in certain scenarios. So let's start there. When shooting in D-Log-M, both cameras convert and colour grade the footage in the exact same way, so you don't have to worry about trying to match the cameras. If you do happen to get both of them, the footage is just going to look consistent throughout all your shots, which is a massive bonus. Which does better in terms of dynamic range really just varies from scene to scene. I don't think it's really noticeable to say that one does better than the other. They're pretty much matched. I haven't really seen a massive difference. The only thing that I would say is that with the Pocket 3, I feel like that overexposes more than the Action 4. So that's the only thing that I would say in terms of the exposure, but in terms of the dynamic range, they are pretty much matched. Both cameras have a noise reduction and sharpness feature, so it means that you can really fine tune the look that you're going for. And what I actually tend to do is set both of those settings to -2 on the sharpness, and actually think I have my noise reduction set to -1, because if you set it to -2 it can sometimes look a little bit grainy. So -2 on the sharpness, -1 on the noise reduction. I always say to keep sharpness low because it's something that you can actually add in post afterwards, and then you can add as much as you want, whereas if you set it in the camera it's baked in, and if you don't end up liking the look that it gives you, then there's not really a lot that you can do about it. So yeah, always a good job to just set the sharpness to as low as possible and then add it later on in post. Each camera has a dedicated low light mode. The Osmo Pocket 3 has the low light video mode, whereas the Osmo Action 4 has low light image enhancement, where you can set it to auto or off. When auto is enabled, the camera will determine when to engage it, but with the Pocket 3, you have complete control to turn it on exactly when you want it. When you look at the quality in the low light, it's the Pocket 3. That 1-inch sensor is really coming through, as is the gimbal. The only way to get better stabilisation with low light in the Action 4 is to use a gimbal. But yeah, the Pocket 3 is just doing an amazing job. Throughout the video for both cameras, I've used just the microphones that have come directly from each of the cameras, apart from at the beginning where I was using the DJI Wireless Mic 2 transmitter with the Pocket 2, and I also had the Pocket 3, and I also had a lav mic attached to it as well. But for the rest of the video, everything has just been filmed using the camera mics on both of the cameras. So this is what the audio sounds like in terms of hearing the comparison between the two. Both of them I think sound really good, but both of them you can use an external microphone anyway, so you can use a USB-C mic for either of the cameras, and that's just going to give you the opportunity to use shotgun mic if you want to, or any other wireless microphone that you have that has a USB-C connection. Both cameras support fast charging. I guess the biggest advantage of the Action 4 is the fact that you've got the replaceable batteries, so you can swap out as many batteries as you want throughout the day as your batteries start to die. Whereas with the Osmo Pocket 3 you've got the battery handle, which gives a massive boost to the Pocket 3 when it starts to die, and you can remove the handle and charge it up while still using the Pocket 3, which is really useful. So the real question of which one to choose for vlogging is very much going to come down to the 7 big differences between them. Because at the end of the day, the Osmo Action 4 is designed as an action camera, which works amazingly for vlogging, but the Pocket 3 is a dedicated vlogging camera. When it comes to the field of view and depth of field, the Osmo Action 4 is going to give you the widest field of view, even in its standard D-Warp setting. Some people don't like that, but I kind of like how immersive it is when vlogging so that it shows off the surroundings. But that's not to say that the Pocket 3 isn't wide, because with its 20mm focal length, you're still going to get enough of the background in the frame that you don't just have a floating head. Plus, you can attach the wide-angle lens, giving you 15mm for a wider field of view. And with the Osmo Pocket 3, you get a shallow depth of field, giving you a blurry background if you like that kind of a look. Whereas with the Osmo Action 4, you don't get that shallow depth of field, and the minimum focus shooting distance is greater than that of the Osmo Pocket 3. So if you want to shoot anything close up, the Osmo Pocket 3 is going to be the better option. It also has product showcase, so you can hold up an object to the camera and it will snap focus onto that object as a priority rather than trying to keep the focus on your face. The other focus options are to set continuous focus so that it keeps adjusting the focus based on your subject's movements, or single focus, which just focuses in one place without constantly adjusting, which can be really useful when shooting B-roll. Being fixed focus, the Action 4 doesn't have these options. With stabilisation, they're both so smooth that one doesn't outdo the other until you throw low light into the mix, because generally stabilisation falls apart in action cameras in low light because the shutter speed slows to compensate for the lack of light, so you can definitely tell in that scenario. The tracking feature of the Osmo Pocket 3 is awesome. I find myself using it so much whilst using the Pocket 3, and if you want that with the Action 4, you'd actually have to buy a gimbal with AI tracking. So if you film solo and you really need that tracking feature, it's a no-brainer. It's the Pocket 3 is the clear choice. If you want to film when it's raining or snowing, then the Pocket 3 is not going to be for you. It's not weather sealed, it has no IP certification, and that's where using the Osmo Action 4 is going to make the most sense, because being an action camera, it's fully waterproof. In terms of durability, as I mentioned, this comparison is for vlogging, so does this matter? It really depends on the situation. If, for example, you want to have a camera for shooting family videos and you want to hand off the camera to your kid, that's something you need to consider. How careful would they be, depending on their age, with the Pocket 3 versus just giving them the Action 4 and not having to worry about them dropping it and breaking it? Both cameras have the option for extended battery life. The Osmo Action 4 has replaceable batteries and the Osmo Pocket 3 has a battery handle which comes with the creator combo, but you can also buy additional ones too. They'll set you back about $69 each, whereas the Osmo Action 4 batteries are $29 each. The Osmo Action 4 obviously has the bigger screen size when comparing it to the rear, but this is based on vlogging, so even though the front touchscreen of the Osmo Action 4 is a decent size enough to see yourself and change settings, the Osmo Pocket 3 is just more convenient. There's not really any doubt that I'd say the Pocket 3 is the one to choose for vlogging. It makes sense, it's what it was created for. So you just have to consider where and how you're going to be filming, because that's what's going to be the deciding factor between the two cameras, putting all of the things aside. But what I will say is that the Osmo Pocket 3 is packed with some incredible features which you can check out in this next video.